Good morning and welcome to Briefly Legal. I'm Starla Leverett, General Counsel for the Real Estate Commission, and today I'm excited to have with me Zach Burr. He's the Assistant General Counsel. And welcome to today. We're going to be talking about 2025, a year in review from a legal perspective. And I want to go ahead and just tell you ahead of time, you may hear some weird noises. We're having our roof replaced, so we've been having a lot of extra noise around the commission. But as Anthony Griffin, the Director of Licensing, stated, it is the sound of progress, so we are welcoming it. As always, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have a question throughout, and this is kind of a wide open, today's wide open with the topics we're going to talk about. So if you have a question, just raise your hand icon and we will unmute you, and you are welcome to ask us anything about license law. All right, let's start our discussion with some statistics from 2025. Zach, how many complaints did the commission receive in 2025?
We set a record this year. We had 563 complaints that came into us. 90% of those complaints come from you, the licensees, and then we also get complaints from consumers and some of our staff spot issues, violations that have been committed by licensees. But 563 was a really big number for this year.
That is a big number. And does every complaint that comes into the commission, does that end up going in front of the commissioners as a formal complaint?
It does not. It's about 17% of the complaints that we receive actually result in cases. So that makes about 100 cases that are formal complaints that go to the commissioners.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So 17% is not a high number at all.
Right. And many of those were just bad check cases.
Okay, so bad check cases, I'm happy to say, and I will tell you that the bad check cases, it has been historically the number one violation that we see here at the commission. But effective October 1st, we no longer have that as a violation here. So this is the last time you'll ever have to hear me talk about it, and I'm very happy about that.
We say bad check cases, but can you tell the viewers what are bad check cases?
Yeah, so again, antiquated language that I'm using because it was our statutes are a bit antiquated, but a bad check is when you present a fine or fee to the commission and it comes back it's either insufficient funds, but what that it also means that if you pay on Alabama Interactive, which is how most of our licensees pay their renewal fees or other things they have to pay for, it's if you just put one wrong digit in, it's going to come back as unable to locate the account. And so that results in this violation. So as of October 1st, if that happens, it's no longer a violation. We will simply email the licensee who entered the account wrong. This is actually for anything, even if it's for insufficient funds. You're going to get an email from us saying that you have to bring us certified funds within 30 days. And as long as you do that, then it's no harm, no foul. We just move on. Because I do think 99% of these were just accidental, typing in the wrong number. We also will email the broker of the licensee the same information. Now, if you don't bring certified funds to replace those monies within 30 days, then the commission will make your license inactive. And it'll stay inactive until you bring the funds. But at the 6-month mark, if you still have not replaced the funds, then the commission will lapse your license. What is very important to take away from this is that please always check your email from us, because this notification will only come via email that it came back unable to locate your account or for insufficient funds for whatever the reason. So please make sure you check those emails, because that will be your only notification that this has happened.
And in 2025, aside from the bad check violations that we had, the majority of the other large portion of our cases came from audits. In 2025, we conducted 149 audits so far.
Wow.
And of those, 14 of the audits resulted in cases that appeared before the commission. So roughly 10% of our audits resulted in violations that came before our commissioners. And out of those 14, we had 11 licensees that were revoked from audits. And interestingly, we only had 12 licensees that were revoked total. So 11 of our 12 revocations in 2025 came from audits. And so those audit cases, the 14 that came before the commission, many of them were shortages in trust accounts, meaning there was money that the licensees were supposed to be holding for property management. It would either be security deposits or rental income or in sales transactions, escrow funds, and the companies did not have the money that they were supposed to have in those accounts. And another violation that we see is commingling in the trust accounts. So commingling is when the company is mixing the company's money with the consumer's money. And so what we'll see sometimes is that brokers are paying for their personal expenses or for the company's expenses using their clients' trust funds. It's a big no-no. It's a quick way to get revoked if you're a qualifying broker. Other audit cases that we see besides the trust account cases are RECAD forms that are missing when we conduct audits, and estimated closing statements that are missing. So forms that are supposed to be kept in the files that are missing. And we will see a lot of times that the qualifying brokers are not doing the job of making sure that their salespeople are using those forms. And so when that happens, that comes back on the qualifying broker. And you can see the result, which is that we ended up having 11 verifications of licensees from our audits. So to help you with your trust account management, since this has been a very big deal in 2025, we don't want licensees to get revoked. We want to help you and not have you appear before the commission. On our website, we have now, just this past month, we've put on our website in the form section a form that is tips on trust account maintenance for qualifying brokers. And also behind those tips are ledgers that the qualifying brokers can use to manage their trust accounts. So I encourage all qualifying brokers, no matter how long you've been in business, go take a look at that form and make sure that you're managing your trust accounts in the way that the commission expects. That form was prepared by we have 3 auditors, and our auditor in South Alabama, Denise Blevins, she made this form that are tips for you. And I can't emphasize enough that I would love for y'all to take a look at that and make sure that you're managing your trust accounts properly.
That's great information, and that sends a huge message from the perspective of the commissioners. We had 12 licenses revoked in 2025 so far, and 11 of those were the mishandling of other people's money. So that's really what's going to get you in the most trouble here at the commission. Right. And then speaking of which, that number we gave you, the 143, we still have one more commission meeting this year. It's November 20th, and we have about 25 cases on that docket. And I know we have some audit cases, and these are some cases, no, I'm sorry, not audit cases, regular cases. And there's kind of a unique trend through the cases we are going to see in November.
Right. In November, we have several cases that are resulting as a product of failed broker supervision. So what we have are licensees, they're licensed salespeople, but they're doing business outside of their broker's supervision. So they are starting companies. Let's say that they work for a real estate sales company, but they're doing property management for other individuals on the side, or they're managing other people's short-term rentals on the side, and they're not going through their company. And the qualifying broker in several of these cases have known that their salespeople are doing that, but allowed them to do that. So that is a violation both on the salesperson for getting paid for conducting licensed activity outside of their qualifying broker, and it's on the broker because they allowed their salesperson to do that.
Another case we saw a lot of this year, it was odd because I've been here for 6.5 years and I had not seen this. We had 3 or 4 of these this year. Were cases where a listing agent entered into the agreement to list the house, and it was a divorce situation. And she or he was only dealing with one of the spouses. And it turned out that both spouses were on the deed. So it's just very important to always, as brokers or as salespeople, when you know that you're dealing with a divorce situation, just to kind of take an extra step, be very cautious, make sure you ask, who is on the deed. If both spouses are on the deed, then you need to be speaking to both of them. And another good resource for this is to ask to see the divorce decree, because maybe they are both on the deed, but the judge ordered that only one person, is selling the home. So it's just in each of those, the people were found guilty and they were fined. So we just need to make sure that in any type of divorce situation, you're just taking a little extra time to make sure all your bases are covered. Another one that we saw, unfortunately, an increase in this year is failure to report. And to me, this is like the when there is.
Yeah.
It's just as a simple reminder that if you get arrested for either felony or misdemeanor, it does not matter. Then you have to report that to the commission. You have to report it within 10 days. And then on the back end, you have to report within 10 days the disposition of that case, whether it's dismissed, you plead guilty, you're found not guilty, whatever happens, it has to be reported to the commission. The same with lawsuits. If you have a lawsuit involving a real estate transaction, it's not just, if you get sued because you're in a car wreck, but it involves a real estate transaction, that also has to be reported to the commission. Same time frame, 10 days from the institute, but before when you're served with the lawsuit, and then 10 days of it being disposed of. And that needs to be done via certified mail, according to the statute. So just another thing to keep in mind. And I'm telling you guys, I know you think, well, no one knows I got arrested. Trust me, someone out there knows you did. And I mean, that's how we get, again, the complaint in. It's going to come from someone sending us, the information that so-and-so, got a DUI down in Baldwin County this year. So just make sure that you always do that.
We have a lot of licensees that state that they don't know what an arrest is. And I think it's, a good rule of thumb is if you got handcuffs on you or you end up in the back of a police car, then you've been arrested.
Yeah.
So, but it's something I think that everybody needs to kind of put in your mind, because when something happens and you go through an arrest or something traumatic like that, sometimes the real estate commission might be the last thing that's on your mind.
Oh, it would be for me.
And then we have licensees that come and say, I forgot to report my arrest because I was going through all this turmoil in my life and I just wasn't thinking about the real estate commission. That's not a good thing to tell the commissioners that, hey, my profession's not very important to me. But so just go ahead and get in your head that, hey, we have this reporting deadline. And for our qualifying brokers, make sure you're telling your licensees if you find out that one of your licensees get arrested, go ahead and tell them, hey, you better go ahead and report that, or else you're going to be seeing the commissioners and potentially get fined or have your license taken away from you.
Yeah, actually, very good advice. Another large part of what we do in the legal division is we present people to the commission that are trying to get a license, but they may have something in their criminal background. As you well know, everyone has to be fingerprinted to receive before you can receive a license. And so one of the things we have to do is to look through all the background checks that come back. And so this year, this was a record number this year. We had approximately 168 that were reviewed. Now, out of the 168, they, of course, did not all go in front of the commission. We had approximately 40 people that went in front of the commission throughout the year to either be approved or denied to move forward with the licensing process. And the reason for the discrepancy in that number is we just told you guys, no matter what you're arrested for, felony or misdemeanor, it has to be reported to us after your license. But before your license, only certain crimes matter. So if you were arrested for a misdemeanor, it was a DUI 10 years ago, then you automatically you can get your license. It's only misdemeanors that are crimes of moral turpitude that we have to go in front of the commission for. And those would be anything involving pretty much fraud as an element. So shoplifting, bad checks, things like that, theft, even if it was for under $500, those are going to be things that have to be presented. So once we look through the report from the FBI about what the arrests were for, sometimes we just can clear that on staff level because there's nothing prohibiting the person from going forward. But it takes a lot of time to do those cases.
So Ricky, our investigator, Ricky Finney, he's reviewing everybody that's a new licensed applicant to check their criminal record. And out of those, we had 168 that had criminal records.
Yeah, 168 came back with criminal history. Okay. Yeah, but only 40 had to actually go in front of the commission. Are there any questions at all so far? All right. Okay, so I'm saving the best for last, I guess. The greatest achievement of the commission this year in 2025 is we finally got some legislation passed. So that's very, very exciting. Zach and I have been going around speaking about the legislation. People, just kind of want us to come talk about it. If anyone does, we'd love to go on the road and we love to visit you guys and get out of the office. So we've been speaking to brokerages, we've been speaking to associations just to make sure everyone's very clear, because the majority of this, we have some things went in effect in April. Majority of the legislation went into effect October 1st. So we're just kind of dealing with getting the word out. The one thing that I kind of do want to just point out is that a lot of the questions you may have about the new legislation can be answered on our website. So go to our website, and then you're going to go to laws, that tab right there. And then you're going to go to statutory changes. Okay, it's the one in the middle, statutory changes. And that's going to take you to this page right here. And in this, I think if you kind of just take your time, read through it, you're going to find pretty much an answer to every question you have about the legislation that went into effect in 2025. You're also going to find the new RECAD form that's available. You can print that off. The other good things you're going to find on here are some cheat sheets, I call them, because you don't want to read through this legislation. It's super, I mean, Zach wrote it. And he's a great writer, but it's very boring, very boring. So instead, what we made little cliff notes, I call them. And we have cliff notes you can look at, some charts that just kind of make it easier. And even like something we made it, we simplified it to, you know, if you're talking to the buyer, what are the steps you should be doing? If you're talking to the seller, what steps should you be doing? It's a great resource, a tool for your toolkit. To print it out, have it with you, and then you can just glance down and make sure you're following all the new procedures that are out there. So again, on the website, please, please, please go there and look at this information. We also on here, if you go down to the very bottom, we have some additional resources. Advertising, there is a shift in advertising somewhat in 2025. And we have a little slideshow that our CPR team did. It's great. And it just kind of shows you that what you should do and don't on different social platforms with your advertising. So that is a great tool as well.
Yeah, just chiming in there, we get calls all the time from people, our real estate licensees or our salespeople that like to talk, and word spreads around that certain laws have passed, and sometimes I get calls and find out that there are laws that people think that really aren't even on our books, and it surprises me. So just looking at this website and taking it from the horse's mouth, you know, to see exactly what has and hasn't passed and what the laws are. This is just a resource that I think at least every qualifying broker needs to take a look at and understand that. Really, every licensee, to be honest.
Absolutely. And if I was a qualifying broker, I would print this out. I'm a paper girl. And I mean, you know, I would make sure they had a copy of all this. Okay, I'm going to start talking real fast right now because it sounds like the ceiling's about to fall in. That's it. Anyway, I hope that you guys have had a great 2025 and continue to. Please remember, you can always find us where our phone number is 334-242-5544. Our email is arec@arec.alabama.gov. Our website is arec.alabama.gov. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Our social media handle is at AREC Alabama Gov. Please, please, please always look at the email from us, especially with this shift we're doing with the payments. It's very important that you open the email from us. Other than that, I hope that you guys have an amazing holiday season, and we will see you back for another Briefly Legal in 2026. Bye.